this idea that veterans are so upset about locally engaged Afghanis not being given permission to come and live in Australia that they would burn their medals. I don't like the idea of that. I mean, where I'm broadcasting from in my home studio, if I look to my right, I can see replicas of my Uncle Don's medals. He served as one of the Rats of Tobruk, and he was also in New Guinea on Kokoda. I can't imagine that anyone would want to set fire to their own medals. Heston Russell joins us. What did you make of that? I'm not being critical of the individual, but that seems to me to be a little over the top. Heston, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Steve. It's a little extreme, and that's the issue with these subjects and how emotive they are, particularly at this time with everything else that's going on with this drawdown. And I know that person individually has quite a personal connection and has been campaigning for a while on this subject, and I know has felt that it's been driven to a bit of a point of despair. But I definitely wouldn't be promoting, and I won't be burning my Afghan campaign medal. It represents a lot more to me, including those people that I fought with, that I lost with over there, and all of the other fond memories that medal represents for me.
Yeah, I expected that be of you, and I hadn't asked you about that before you joined us. What is the latest? There seems to be some softening of the approach from the politicians in Canberra. Would that be fair to say, Heston?
I mean, that's what we hear in the media, Steve. I mean, I don't know outside of what is occurring within the official circles, but yes, the messaging coming out is that they've stepped up the efforts to process applications and, stepped up the efforts to get these final medical screenings. But I literally get my updates like everyone else in the media, Steve, so your guess is as good as mine.
Is there anyone in Afghanistan who you would particularly want to sponsor and get back out here to Australia? Do you have individuals that you'd like to see were benefits of this coming to the country?
Yeah, I think in particular, Steve, those, the interpreters, I believe most of them have been looked after, those that have passed the screening process, but in particular the security guards at the embassy there in Kabul. They seem to be quite forgotten in all of this, and they're the ones who literally have protected all Australians, including diplomats, for a long time, and particularly in Kabul, as you can imagine, Steve. There's actually a lot of very real threats that have been going on in that city for a long, long time, and they seem to really have been lost within the footnote of some of this application process, and they're the ones, some of them have had their applications in for many years already.
It seems a little confusing. It's not a month since we left and the last of our military personnel and diplomats left Afghanistan. There's now talk, we're told, and the ABC Foreign Minister Maurice Payne, who apparently was reluctant for us to leave, has said that, we were always expected to be out of there temporarily with the intention of resuming a permanent presence once circumstances permit. That seems very confusing. So we may, in fact, be going back and establishing some sort of diplomatic presence there. I mean, I'm not sure that's going to do much to the Taliban, is it, Heston?
Well, I don't understand that at all. We went over there to help establish the conditions for the government of Afghanistan to return some normalcy and security to the place. So now we're saying we had a plan that we're going to remove our forces until it's safe enough or stable enough for them to go back in. I mean, it sort of really boggles the mind as far as this international plan and strategy. And as far as monitoring the Taliban, as I've seen, has been the thrown catchphrase. You don't need an established diplomatic mission to do that. As you would know, Steve, that's sort of our intelligence services and everything else that's doing that. I would just like to see some form of a proper strategy as opposed to media spot fires. I mean, this is how we got into this situation. Like, what is our actual short, medium and long-term strategy? And if you don't need to give that to the Australian people, then don't give that to the Australian people, because there are, security concerns and intelligence concerns around that. But this, chasing the next hurdle as it approaches in the media is part of this frustration that's leading a lot of people like that member to think the only actions they can do are, to burn their medal to try and achieve some form of cut-through in actions on these topics.
Yeah, I'm not sure we do actually have a strategy. What's your view, Heston, on this proposed National Day of Commemoration for those of you who served there?
Well, I think it's entirely appropriate given that is what we do historically. We have the Vietnam Veterans Day. For the last couple of months, I've been working on something actually with Normie Rowe, as you might know, Steve. He was instrumental in the Welcome Home Parade for the for the Vietnam vets in 1987. And I'm going to go back down to Canberra in August to try and link in with Peter Dutton and his team. Because, in selecting this day, we need to be very, very careful. I know there's been dates put out around September 11. I think it's completely inappropriate to put a commemoration on a day where, thousands of Americans lost their lives. But, there's a number of options from when we first deployed troops to Iraq back in the day in August through to when we deployed troops to Afghanistan in October. I definitely think it's very appropriate, and we just really need to put in the effort to make sure it becomes a proper day of commemoration and a proper recognition and opportunity for those veterans who have since deployed and are now in amongst everything that's going on and have lost connection with each other, to have a purpose to come together in an appropriate way to commemorate their service and reconnect with each other. And particularly at a time like now, it would be great to get this out there so as we can start planning towards it and have something for people to look forward to, as opposed to answering all these questions of was it worth it. We can help show people why it was worth it because of the friendships we forged and the experiences we had together. So I look forward to hopefully that being a very professionally planned occasion and commemorated appropriately.
There would be a day on top of Anzac Day, clearly, and you would include our involvement, various involvements, 2 times in Iraq as well.
Yeah, for sure. So from my understanding, it is just the day of commemoration. So as in not a public holiday like Anzac Day or like Remembrance Day, but just as in a day that is an official day within the military community and within our national recognition community. But definitely nothing that is going to replace or replicate Anzac Day or Remembrance Day. Just a separate day, where as appropriately we would go down to in subsequent years, a memorial down on Anzac Parade in Canberra, but particularly on this first year, which would be next year, just a day in which we get together and conduct community connection and events to commemorate.